Well, hey there! I kind of figure you'd be dropping in sometime about now. Maybe, maybe not right now, or I might have been a little more organized if you know what I mean. But hey, with you, partner, anytime is great. So, what can I help you with today? Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh huh. You don't say. You don't say. Well, shoot, market structures? Well, you came to the right place, sir, because market structures are the easiest thing I can teach to you. And by the time I'm through, you will know them inside and out if my name is not Egbert the Econ expert. Well, hey, let's just jump right in. Howdy, partner. Okay, this first market structure is called perfect competition. Now, if you divert your attention over there, a mighty helpful graph is going to pop up in a second now. Now, I think you'll find perfect competition is very special. To begin, I'll give you a list of the characteristics of perfect competition. First, there are many producers. This means that there are many firms in the industry making the product. Second, they are price takers. This means that they all have their price set by the market. They do not get to decide their own price. Third, identical products. That means that they are all selling virtually the same thing. Fourth, there are low/free barriers to entry and exit. This leads to a very special phenomenon. Wherever economic profit is being generated by a producer in a perfectly competitive environment, due to low barriers of entry and exit, new firms will enter the market. This shifts the supply curve forward, which then resets the profit. This means that, in theory, perfectly competitive markets will always resolve themselves, instead of requiring government intervention. One great example of a perfectly competitive market is the commercial agriculture industry. In this industry, the product or good sold is some food product, such as corn. This industry quite nicely fits the requirements of perfect competition. Agriculture definitely fits the box of many producers, with hundreds and hundreds of farms nationwide. The price of these farmers' products is entirely decided by how much we are willing to pay, and not the firms themselves. This makes them price takers. Third, virtually all agricultural products within their respective markets sell identical or very similar products. And finally, the relative ease of changing the crop grown accounts for the low/free barriers to entry and exit. When measured for efficiency, this market structure lands on the top. In the long run, perfect competition will always be both productively and allocatively efficient. Altogether, this is a very efficient form of market.
Red alert, red alert, red alert, monopoly incoming, monopoly incoming, red alert.
Well, hello again. So, here we are at the next market type, monopoly. Like perfect competition, I'll begin with the general characteristics. First, there's a single producer. That means that there's only one company producing the product. 2. No close substitutes to product. That means, essentially, that there isn't really anything comparable to the product on the market. Non-price competition. That's number 3. That essentially means that the company doesn't really do advertisement, but instead tries to improve customer relations by doing things such as PSAs. 4. High barriers to entry. These can be legal in the form of such things as copyright and trademark laws, in control of scarce resources, or in barriers of ease, which essentially means that a company can try to outcompete another company and form a monopoly just by making it easier to use their product. Finally, 5. Price makers. The monopolies make their own prices. They aren't subject to the market. Now, one large difference between monopolies and perfect competition is that monopolies can, and most often will, generate long-term profits. In general, monopolies are the least efficient market structure. If you look at the graph, you can see why. This region in the graph represents profit, but this area represents deadweight loss. Deadweight loss is the area in the graph that represents inefficiency caused by poor allocation of goods. A good example of a monopoly is a power company. Due to the fact that it is so expensive to lay the groundwork and wiring to form a power company, the barriers to entry are very high. Furthermore, this is what is known as a natural monopoly. That is, a monopoly that exists due to extremely high startup costs instead of any legal binding. Monopolies often do not advertise, but instead run PSAs in order to improve customer-company relations. This can be clearly seen in the example of a power company. Going back to the checklist, let's just make sure a power company or any other utility company in the industry will be classified as a monopoly. In most cases, there is only one power supplier in an area, making it the sole producer. Check. In most cases, there is no real financially acceptable close substitute that does not cost significantly more. Check. Non-price competition holds true with power companies, as they rarely run commercials, but instead PSAs. Check. High barriers to entry. Well, to lay the groundwork for a power company can take billions of dollars. Checkaroo. And the market power? As discussed earlier, in most areas only one power provider is available. And check. So, we're sure a power company is a form of a monopoly. Are you in need of a new market structure? Are both monopoly and perfect competition too extreme? Well, then we've got the market structure for you. Presenting the all-new, never-before-seen market structure, monopolistic competition. This revolutionary new advertiser-heavy market structure utilizes pieces of both perfect competition and monopolies. Now new and improved, your monopolistic competition package comes with many firms producing products, easy entry and exit into the industry, perfect information, and differentiated but not unique products. Now, with price-making abilities, you'll never have to worry about the market setting the price like it used to with perfect competition. With our innovation of differentiated products, you can now set your own. Sad about operating as the least efficient market type in a monopoly? Well then, this is the product for you too. The winner of the Silver Johnson Prize, monopolistic competition has been rated second most efficient market structure. Large companies with similar products just like you have been making the switch all over the world. Perfect for fast food companies. With the sheer number of fast food restaurants in the industry, it definitely fits the box for many firms producing. Easy entry and exit is what allows many franchises to be formed, and what lets companies grow to such enormous sizes as we see them today. Third, perfect information is essential in the fast food industry as it allows companies to know how to price their good in comparison to other goods. And finally, differentiated but non-unique products are seen everywhere in the fast food industry, such as the Big Mac versus the Whopper. Well now, we're on to the last form of market structure. Now, this one is called an oligopoly. It has a few major characteristics. Number one, a small number of large producers. This means that in the market there ain't too many producers, but they have a large amount of market power or market share. Number two, the homogeneous or differentiated products. In the form of something like an oil oligopoly, the product is fairly homogeneous. However, in the form of something such as a soft drink oligopoly, the product is very differentiated. It can be homogeneous or differentiated, but it could not be in the middle. Number three, barriers to entry. These are pretty similar to those in a monopoly. And number four, mutual independence. This means that firms all know their prices, profits, and strategies all depend on what the other firms are doing. Oligopolies do not use graphs and find an equilibrium to find a price, but but instead use game theory, using handy little tests such as the prisoner's dilemma to find out how they should price their goods. This results in them being generally the second least efficient market structure. One good example of an industry that utilizes the oligopoly market structure is the soft drink industry, and how the two companies Coke and Pepsi dominate it. As the only two large producers, they easily fit the first box for a small number of large producers. In this case, Coke and Pepsi offer differentiated products, as in the case of the products Sprite versus Mountain Dew. It fits the barriers to entry as forming a worldwide soda company, whilst these two hold most of the market power, would be very difficult. And using game theory, these companies are able to determine their strategy, thereby checking off mutual independence. Now, one more thing about oligopolies is that they'll tend to do one of two things. The first is called dominant strategy, and it's an independent form of production. And it's essentially working alone to benefit your own firm without paying much mind to what the other firms are doing. The next is called collusion. This is a form of working together that firms carry out, and it's essentially when two or more firms agree to help each other and mutually improve their business situation. This forms what is known as a cartel, which is essentially what a group of firms working together is called. However, in the United States, this second form, collusion and the formation of cartels, is almost entirely illegal except for a few rare cases. Woo-wee, we're done. But before you go, I'd like to go over a few of the products and examples for each of the market types just one more time. In perfect competition, it will produce non-unique, identical products. The best industries to remember this by are the agricultural and food production industries. A real-world company that uses perfect competition would be Shamrock Farms, or really any other commercial farm. Some good examples of products that are produced are corn, fish, and wheat. If you would like a more in-depth review, just rewatch the part about perfect competition. Monopolies produce unique and generally non-substitutable goods. There are many industries to remember it by, but the best are utility companies, though others like car and tech industries can be monopolies too. A real-world company that is a monopoly is SRP. A good example of a product would simply be power. If you would like an insight into why power is a special kind of monopoly, just rewatch the part about monopolies. Monopolistic competition produce non-unique but differentiated goods. Some of the best industrial examples would be fast food or shoe companies. A real-world company that uses monopolistic competition is McDonald's. An example of a product that monopolistically competitive firms might produce is a Big Mac versus a Whopper, and how those two are differentiated from each other. If you would like an in-depth analysis as to why differentiation helps, just watch that word from our sponsor. Finally, oligopolies produce either differentiated or homogeneous products, depending on what they're selling. A good example of this industry is the soft drink industry, when selling differentiated goods. But when selling homogeneous goods, the best example is the oil industry. A real company that uses this form of competition would be PepsiCo, or in the case of oil, the organization OPEC. An example of a product that could be used is Sprite, Mountain Dew, or oil. For an in-depth analysis of game theory and how that affects oligopolies, make sure to look back at the oligopoly section. Well, that's all I have for you today. I hope this helped you. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more original content with me, Egbert the Econ expert. Be sure to comment down below any other economics topics you may want me to cover, or any physics questions you want my friend Professor Physics to answer for you. Make sure to also hit that notification bell down below, as here at BlueBridge Animation, we're always trying to put out new content. Have a happy holiday, and until next time, Egbert out.